Welcome on into Same But Different, the show where we talk about movies. Nobody asked us to do it, but we're doing it anyway. I am Brody, and over on one of my sides we have...
Derek, what's up?
Derek, what's up? So let's go to work. This week, we were tasked with watching Girls Just Want to Have Fun. It is the first week of our May I Have This Dance-themed May for dance movies.
Right.
And that's the movie that kicked us off, 1985. See, I had never heard of this movie. After doing some research and looking at some pictures and stuff, I've certainly seen this movie, like on a shelf, not actually like watched the movie. Let's get right into the review. Do you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first. I have a little bit to say.
If you saw our shorts last week or watched the episode last week, Derek was very hesitant on watching this movie, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Well, as most of you saw, I'm not a huge fan of Sarah Jessica Parker.
I'd go further and say you actively dislike Sarah Jessica Parker.
Well, as an actor, I guess, because I don't know how she is as a human being. So if
she's real cool.
If she's nice, oh yeah, you know her?
Yeah.
Great. Well, we don't know each other anymore. Signing off. I hate this. No, I don't. Maybe she's a great human being. I have no idea. But as far as acting ability goes and the movies she's been in and stuff like that, no thank you. No thank you so much. I will actively avoid her movies unless this is the second movie now on our show we've had to watch with her in it. Hocus Pocus.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I love that movie.
No, that's an appropriate reaction. That being said, she's an actor. She's doing great things, and kudos to her. She's way better than I am. So,
that being said, she is an actor, and I have to deal with it.
This movie, so hadn't heard of it, didn't know what I was getting myself into. I had an idea of maybe it might be just a cheesy high school 80s flick, and that's exactly what it was. There was no substance to this movie whatsoever. Not that that's a bad thing per se. Usually that's a bad thing, but I feel like the intent behind this movie was not to be full of substance. It was to just get across just 80 cheesiness and goodness, and it killed it in that fashion in regards to music and dance montages and the overbearing father and the one father who initially says, well, you're going to take over the family business or go into trades, but actually in the end I support you. Like, that was the tropes you've seen a million times encapsulated into one movie. It succeeded in what I think was its target goal, to be a movie, not necessarily to be this great movie, but just to be a movie that just has a bunch of 80s goodies in it. That being said, like, I have a lot of bad to say about it, but it's hard to judge this movie because, like, I think they set out to make what they made. You know what I mean? The acting was awful. Like, nobody stood out as a great actor at all. It pains me to say, but maybe Sarah Jessica Parker hit a couple lines that were good.
Whoa! No, yeah. Pause it. We're done. That's the. He gave it a 10 out of 10. Did you hear that?
No. Shit. She was quite annoying in this movie. I don't know how old she was, but she looked 30. But she's always looked someone who's older than her age, I think. But the way she acted like a 16-year-old or 17-year-old, like bouncing up and down and tossing her head back and forth, it was just such over-exaggerated, like, be a 16-year-old. And that's what she thought 16-year-olds do. Everyone seemed older than they way older than they actually were. The guy, maybe he wasn't in high school. He was outside of high school, right? Driving around on his motorcycle and stuff.
Yeah, he must have been. They never really went into him, but
she was in an all-girls school, so you didn't really get to see boys. I think he was just graduating, going into trades, right? He was definitely channeling his inner Patrick Swayze. Either he's channeling Patrick Swayze or Patrick Swayze saw this and was like, that's me now.
Yeah, that's who I want to model my career after. Ghost was after this, so, well, Dirty Dancing was after this, Roadhouse was after this, yep. If he inspired Patrick Swayze, you kind of have to like him.
No, because other people can get inspired and then do it better.
I said inspired. Did you say expired?
Because Patrick Swayze's dead?
No! Oh. God damn it.
By the end of it, simple story, dance competition. She wants to win this competition to be on TV in...
Chicago?
Chicago, you're right. and it's a competition to be the new regulars on the show. Simple story, nothing complicated about it. Her dad says no. By the end of it, he watches her. He's like, wow, she's great. Supportive friend who somehow weasels her way into the dance competition at the end.
It was kind of foreshadowed.
The movie definitely foreshadowed it, but there was no reasoning for it to happen.
And they were just like, and the new lady then. Yeah. All right, sure.
Just because the one recently quit and she happened to be there at the time of quitting, I guess it was like, grab life by the balls moment, just like go for it. But there's no way that would have happened in real life. But it's a movie. It was a silly, cheesy movie. Bad acting, simple storyline. By the end of it, I was like, that was fine. That was fun. Like, it wasn't a terrible time. I didn't, by the end of it, hate myself, which I thought I was going to. So, if I don't hate a movie, it can't get less than a 5. So I'm giving it a 5. 5 out of 10.
I am baffled.
Yeah.
I thought for sure you were going to shit all over this movie, give it a 2.
Just because of Sarah Jessica Parker?
Well, yeah.
I can look past my own prejudices.
Okay.
Not that I have many, just Sarah Jessica Parker. Fuck that.
Whenever I do my rating, I just make sure I don't rate it like IMDb. I rate it like I am Brody.
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
I am Brody.
Brody. Whoa.
Yo. Yo, I'm thinking of a new segment on the show. I am Brody. And like it's in the font and sure. Oh, that'd be sweet.
We could have some fun with that.
Copywriting it, patent pending, don't steal it. Okay, go.
Fuck off. I was talking to the camera, not you.
I can't see you, so I thought I was like...
I know. Sorry. I do want to say 2 quick things before I do my review. One is the guy who played that guy who we were making fun of. I don't know his name. I left the page already. He hasn't acted since 1987, so...
And there's reasons for this.
Well, he is Canadian, so...
That's one of the reasons, probably.
I was surprised that I didn't hate this movie.
Hey.
We are quite similar here. We may think a little differently about some of it, but we hit all the same stuff.
We gotta change the name of our show.
Sometimes. It's unfortunate when we're so gosh darn similar. It was tacky. It was cheesy. It was very cookie cutter formula, but it's a formula that works for these 80s movies. It kind of, they had fun with it, and it kind of made it fun to watch in a weird way. I think Helen Hunt was kind of fun, just a bizarre, wacky best friend, and I think she did a good job with it. I would argue she was my favorite part of the movie. But just like the acting, most of the jokes were bad, but there were a couple times where I genuinely was like, okay, that's kind of funny. I don't think I laughed out loud, but I respected it at certain times. The soundtrack was fun. Like, the characters were all cliche, but they were all of the cliches, right? Like, just like your Breakfast Club or something like that. Except for that shitty best friend of the love interest. He was such a shitty shit. I hated him.
Oh, man, what a perv.
Well, he was a pervy little shit. I hated him. And that wasn't even we can sometimes chalk it up to Sign of the Times, Boys in the 80s, or whatever you want to, however you want to say it. But this guy was just a fucking loser.
It was also a messy character because he was portrayed as like this nerd geek guy.
Yeah.
But also he considered himself a ladies' man. It was just a weird mix of character.
Yeah, there were like 1 or 2 lines where I actually was like, oh my God. They made the bad boy love interest kind of enjoyable, except he like kind of threw a hissy fit at one point, which was just like, grow up. But usually that character I can just scoff and move on from, but I think they did a pretty good job with him. All that being said, like, this movie wasn't good. This is where the difference comes in, because I think it is cheesy, 100%. This is a super cheesy movie, but the way I watched this, instead of them embracing the cheesy and rolling with it that way, it felt like they were trying to be more than cheesy. They were trying to be good. Because I could have had fun. If they really embraced the cheese and went a little more campy with this, I think it could have been, honestly, and making it at least like 14A would have helped a lot. It was pretty G rated, and that's where cheesy, campy silliness they could have just gone a little further with a lot of it, I think. But they tried to stay in a reality when the movie had no reality to it. I do understand why some people would like this. Like, it could be a guilty pleasure. It could be a fun movie. Going back to Breakfast Club, it felt like a John Hughes movie without any of the actual heart. I like weird science, but it felt more like a weird science John Hughes than it did his good stuff. And for this to come out in 85, the same as Breakfast Club, I didn't have a bad time watching it, but I'm going to forget about it in no time and never watch it again. But I also gave it a 5 out of 10. I can't give it less than that, because whatever we watched last time, I gave less than that. I already forget. Oh, my God.
A Boy and His Dog.
It was perfectly fine. And that's what a 5 is to me. It's right down the middle. It passed as a film, but it failed as something I enjoyed.
Well, that's a good rating.
Best way to put it.
That's a good thing to say.
There you go.
Congratulations, you made something.
Well, I mean, it's like any grade I got in high school. If I passed, I was happy. If I got a 51, boom, baby.
Boom.
Put this on the fridge, Mom. Let us know what you thought, if you've seen it. I have a feeling if you grew up watching this movie, it's going to hold a much dearer place in your heart. Watching this movie 25 years later than I should have probably isn't helping.
Also, I gotta say, there are other people in that dance competition that should have won.
Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Everybody during the auditions was doing the exact same thing. The exact same thing. And then Sarah Jessica Parker comes in and she's like just doing this, like just jutting her shoulders up and down, and the judges are like, oh my God, look at her. I'm like, she hasn't done anything. What? Let's move on from that to the hat.
The Hat of Destiny.
Here we go. We're gonna pick a movie. We got one.
I hope it's something different.
Well, they're all different. We didn't put Girls Just Want to Have Fun in 11 times.
Knowing you may have.
Billy Elliot.
Billy Elliot.
Which I'm actually very excited about. A talented young boy becomes torn between his unexpected love of dance and the disintegration of his family.
Ooh. Might be a tearjerker. I'm going to bring the tissues.
Tissues?
Next Monday, Billy Elliot. Watch it, come back here, and let's discuss it.
What's our top 5 of the week, Derek?
Top 5 competition movies. Personally, I stayed away from sports.
Top 5 competition movies. Number 5, I'm going with Bad Words with Jason Bateman.
Ooh, good shout.
Kind of a newer one, but it was hot off me, getting into Jason Bateman. I love Jason Bateman, but I would say Horrible Bosses and this kind of came out around the same time. I didn't do Arrested Development until later. Saw this in theaters. It's vulgar, it's funny, it's dry. I loved it. And this one is for pure enjoyment and how much I rewatched it. Blades of Glory. And
nice.
And that's the one that could be a sports movie, maybe. I don't know where you'd do competitive figure skating.
I left I, Tonya off my list because of that.
Well, then Beer Fest.
You're replacing it with Beer Fest?
I'm replacing Blades of Glory with Beer Fest for the exact same reason. I don't think either of them are good movies, but I enjoy the hell out of them, and I watch them 1,000,001 times.
Okay.
They can be replaced. They're the exact same tier of movie for me.
Interchangeable. I got you.
Number 3. Now, this is one in my entire life I've never met another soul who has seen this movie. It's a mad, 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 mad world. 4 mads.
Yes.
The original Rat Race, for anyone who's wondering.
I watched it on your recommendation.
It is from the early 60s. It is long, and it's a tough watch sometimes, but it's so freaking funny. Number 2, Whiplash.
Whiplash? That's about a competition?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is it's ultimately about a competition, but the movie is his journey to it. But yeah. Okay, well, I'm sticking with it for now. You guys can tell me how wrong I am in the comments. And number 1, without a doubt, it's just one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion, School of Rock.
Oh, yeah, it didn't make my list. I don't understand why people love that movie so much.
When was the last time you watched it?
Maybe 7 years ago.
You gotta just give it another shot. It's so good. What do you not?
It's not.
Do you like it?
I do. I like the movie, but the cult following behind this movie and the love people have for it boggles my mind. Like I don't know how it's held in such high regard. It's good. I had fun with it. It's fun.
It's a 10 out of 10.
I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of people agreeing with you. And I, to some extent, agree with you that it is a good movie. I just don't understand. Like, number 5, Mortal Kombat.
Okay, sure.
It's a god-awful movie, but for nostalgia purposes, I had to put it on there.
Okay, I can't. After what I've said about nostalgia and stuff, okay, sure. I think the new one's a much better movie. The new one's fun. But
number 4, Beer Fest. We got Beer Fest.
On 4 as well.
Number 3, Bad Words.
No way. I didn't. Wow. I thought I was being clever with that one.
Number 2, And this can be considered a sports movie in the medieval times. A Knight's Tale.
I was so close to putting A Knight's Tale on my list. I think I should. You know what's weird is it was the first one that I thought of. And then when I came to crafting my list, I forgot about it. So I think it should be on there, but I just forgot that I remembered it. Ooh. Anyway, that's what an amazing movie.
Number 1 competition movie. I had to choose this one because not only is it competition from start to finish, but it's hilarious. It's great characters, great development. Pitch Perfect.
Oh, that was not on my radar at all.
Pitch Perfect, number 1 competition movie. It set the bar. Sequels, meh. But the first one, such a good movie.
I have the mentality you have about School of Rock for Pitch Perfect. I like Pitch Perfect. It's fun. I enjoy it. I'd watch it. I've watched it multiple times. I'd give it a good rating. I don't understand people thinking it's the best.
I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 movie by any means, critically or personally. I just think it's the best competition movie. Honorable mention, not necessarily would be on my list, but I feel like I have to honorably mention this because this started the modern day era of competition movies, in my opinion. Bring It On.
My only honorable mention I decided not to say, but now I'll say because you said one, because it's kind of a lie of a competition. You think it's a competition, but it's not. But it was Escape Room, just because it was so different and new and fresh. So that was our top 5s. And before we outro the video and move on to other things with our days, we want to talk about just a little bit of movie news that has happened in the last week. However, it's been a tough week for movie news because I'm sure you've heard the Writers Guild of America strike has gone into effect. Most of the news is about that. So it's kind of hard to, if you haven't heard about that, it's much like it happened back in 2008 ?
7, 8, late 7, I think. But yeah.
There you go. Where the writers, especially with streaming and everything now, aren't getting paid as much as they should be, and they're cutting down the writers in the writers' room because there's less episodes in a season, but not paying them more for working harder. So they're going on strike, and not to get too controversial, but good for them. Rightfully so.
They are also setting some caveats. And like, if we are to come back, this is what we, not only better pay and more stable jobs, but because movie and TV companies are thinking about AI generated script writing.
Yeah.
And taking those AI generated scripts and giving them to writers and saying, hey, rewrite this for us. They're saying no thank you to that. They're saying we do not want to do this.
Good.
Yeah.
Those AI scripts are hilarious and a fun time and a novelty, and that is it. The issue with that is AI writes their scripts based on things that have happened. They watch a million movies and then they write a script. So there will not be originality ever. Everything's going to be a carbon copy of something somewhere. We're not going to talk about everything that's been delayed by this strike or anything like that because there's so many things. But as a movie fan, as a TV fan, it sucks. As much as I support them, I where's my content? I'm sad. And the one that hurts the most, which is surprising because it is a Marvel film, but I've been so excited for Blade because I love Blade. I've been excited to see how they're going to introduce him into this universe. And it was announced, I think, yesterday that they are not doing it until this strike is over.
I know. And this strike could last longer than the 2007 one. And that one lasted 100 days. I'm most bummed about Stranger Things Season 5. It's stopped.
Ooh. Oh.
We already wait a long time for these things, and now we're going to wait longer. Yeah.
Moving on. No more sad stuff. This one, Derek is more excited than anybody I think I know, but Carl Urban is in final discussions, I read, to play Johnny Cage in the new Mortal Kombat sequel. Fantastic casting. I love Carl Urban. If you didn't already love Carl Urban before The Boys, you do now. Everybody does now.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, Carl Urban's amazing. He always has been. I just hope that there's actually a tournament.
Imagine the second one is also just collecting members for the tournament, and then the third movie is the tournament.
Yay!
No, they have to. They have to. They may not go with the whole Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade relationship because Sonya Blade was younger in the first one. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Cool.
Or casting. They could, and they cast Leonardo DiCaprio because he's good with young. And then I only have one more piece, and it's honestly kind of reaching. It's nothing that exciting, but I couldn't find much. Guy Ritchie has announced his next action epic ensemble movie, as he does, and he revealed that he will be reuniting to work with Henry Cavill, and he'll be adding Jake Gyllenhaal to the roster.
Because he just worked with Jake Gyllenhaal in The Covenant.
He's bringing Jake Gyllenhaal into an actual Guy Ritchie movie instead of whatever that was.
Yes.
Honestly, it's time for me to see Vinnie Jones again. Come on. Last thing I saw him in was like Euro Trip.
No way.
I'm sure that's not true, but it's what's coming to mind. That's all the news. Unless you have anything, honestly, I scrolled through Screen Rant and Cinema Blend and IMDb, and I looked all over the place and couldn't find anything.
I have one thing. I think we touched upon it earlier, but there's been evolutions. It's the casting for Fantastic Four. So last week, we learned that Adam Driver was offered the role for Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. These are rumors, but very trusted sources. We learned that Margot Robbie was offered the role for Sue Storm. And we learned that Paul Mescal was offered the role of Johnny Storm. It's been confirmed that Paul Mescal denied the role. He's like, nah, no thanks. And now it's coming out that they're pretty certain Adam Driver said yes. So he might be suiting up for Reed Richards. No casting news has been heard about Ben Grimm, but it's rumored that they're looking for male or female actors for Ben Grimm.
Adam Driver, I think, is just such a dull presence, which works well because so is Reed Richards. So
No!
I think Reed Richards is the most boring superhero. Sure, Adam Driver can do that because it's easy.
Okay, there you go. Brody's on board.
Alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you for watching another episode of Same But Different. We're having a lot of fun doing this. I hope you are having fun watching. Obviously, keep a lookout for all the shorts that come out in the next week or next year. We're not going to stop. So make sure you watch Billy Elliot for next week, and you can join the discussion in the comments below.
Yes, and if you liked anything you saw here, and if you like our shorts, like the video, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell notification. I don't know who does that anymore, but do it if you want, because we'd love to see you interact with our videos, and then you get to see more of them. So
yeah, so until next time, Derek, always a pleasure.
Love it.
Bye, everybody.